Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to talk briefly about a gentleman that we lost in 2023. This is Charles Munger, who went by Charlie Munger, and his full name is Charles Henry Munger. And he was a businessman that worked with Warren Buffett and was a very rich, very wealthy guy and was seen to be extremely wise when it came to investing. And so, of course, there's lots of Charlie Munger quotes out there. I'm actually going to put all these quotes on the Facebook page. But I'm going to go through these quotes because some of them are pretty great. When you think this guy is one of the richest people that ever lived, and he came from nothing. So he was born on January 1st of 1924 in Omaha, Nebraska, to Florence Toddy Russell and Alfred Case Munger. As a teenager, he worked at Buffett & Son, which was a grocery store owned by Warren Buffett's grandfather, Ernest P. Buffett. His grandfather, Thomas Charles Munger, was a state representative and later a U.S. District Court judge appointed by Theodore Roosevelt. Man, the history that this guy has in his family. He enrolled at the University of Michigan, where he studied mathematics. During his time in college, he joined the fraternity Sigma Phi Society in 1943. A few days after his 19th birthday, he dropped out of college to serve in the U.S. Army Air Corps, where he became a second lieutenant. After receiving a high score on the Army General Classification test, he was ordered to study meteorology at Caltech in Pasadena, California, the town where he was to make his home. Through the GI Bill, Munger took a number of advanced courses through several universities. Then he applied to his father's alma mater at Harvard Law School. The dean of admissions rejected him because Munger had not completed an undergraduate degree. Wow. However, the dean relented after a call from Roscoe Pound, the former dean of Harvard Law and a Munger family friend. Munger exceeded in law school, becoming a member of the Harvard Legal Aid Bureau, and graduated in 1948 with a JD, a Juris Doctorate, magna cum laude. So he was the top of his class, and he didn't have an undergraduate that was completed. That's incredible. He got a doctorate. In college and in the Army, he developed an important skill, card playing. He used this in his approach to business. What you have to learn is to fold early when the odds are against you, or if you have a big edge, back it heavily because you don't get a big edge that often. Extremely good advice. Opportunity comes, but it doesn't come often, so seize it when it does come. He also used the card analogy where he explained his approach to investing. He maintained that treating the shares of a company like baseball cards is a losing strategy because it requires one to predict the behavior of an irrational and emotional human being. I think that's great. His career is he moved with his family to California, where he joined the law firm Wright and Garrett. Later, Munsk, Peeler and Garrett. In 1962, he founded and worked as a real estate attorney at Munger, Tullis and Olson LLP. He gave up his practice of law to concentrate on his managing of investments and later partnered with Otis Booth in real estate development. When he met Buffett over lunch at the Omaha Club, the two began talking about investments and never stopped. In 1962, Munger partnered with Jack Wheeler to form Wheeler, Munger & Company, investment firm with a seat on the Pacific Coast Stock Exchange. According to Buffett's essay, The Super Investors of Graham and Dodgeville, published in 1984, Munger's investment partnership generated compound annual returns of 19.8% during the 1962 to 75 period, compared to a 5% annual depreciation rate of the Dow. Wow. So he more than tripled what was there, and this was during a period of war and during a period of unrest in our country. If you think about 63 through 75, you had Kennedy shot during that time. You had John F. Kennedy shot. You had Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. shot. You had the Vietnam situation. You had school shootings where there was riots around Vietnam, and some National Guard Army guys opened up on them and killed a bunch of folks. So there's a lot of going on, and financially that typically puts unrest in the market. So for Munger to triple and then some, the rate of return during that period shows an incredible amount of understanding and patience. Munger was previously the chairman of Wesco Financial Corporation, now a wholly owned subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway. This acquisition of the company was controversial following accusations that Buffett's company, Blue Chip, bought Wesco shares to defeat an impending merger between Wesco and Financial Corp. Wesco began a savings and loan association, but eventually grew into Precision Steel Corp. So as you go on through it, you find out that he and Buffett were lifelong friends and did a lot of talking around financing. So what we'll do is we'll look at some of his quotes now. That's just a little history. When I talk about people, I read things that come from other people. I like people to know who these folks are and where they come from, because I don't want you to look at wisdom. I want you to know where wisdom comes from. So if it's somebody that's done stuff or been successful, that's somebody that I want to look at, read, and emulate. One of the things that he says that's best, one of his best quotes, I will read it here in a moment, is about he's never met someone successful that doesn't read. I've read a bunch of his books, and if you see that yellow book right back there behind me, that is Warren Buffett's. That's the speeches he gave to the shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway from the late 70s all the way through the 2000s. That book right there. And I've got 2 books on Munger, and they're absolutely great reading. So here's one of his quotes. I did not succeed in life by intelligence. I succeeded because I have a long attention span. The next one, Charlie Munger says, I have considerable passion to get rich, not because I wanted Ferraris, but because I wanted independence. Many times on this channel, I've said that my definition of wealth is freedom with your time, where you can control your time, control who you do things with, so you can do what you want to do for as long as you want, with whoever you want, wherever you want. So that is freedom in my mind too. Charlie Munger says, in my whole life I have known no wise people who did not read all the time. And then he said none, 0, to add emphasis. So that tells you the importance of reading. His own children said that they thought he was a book with legs because he read all the time. I thought that was pretty cool. I constantly see people rise in life who are not the smartest, sometimes not even the most diligent, but they are learning machines. They go to bed every night a little wiser than they were when they got up. And boy, does that help, particularly when you have a long run ahead of you. That's my view of it. I try to get a little wiser every day before I go to bed. It's typically by reading or studying, and these videos are what came out of that. The subject matter that I'm studying, I now put those videos on here, anything I find interesting. That's why when you look through the library of videos on this channel, they're all over the place, because I am ravenous when it comes to studying and reading things. I think it's what I do for fun, so hopefully you have the same curiosities. The next thing Charlie Munger said was, we have 3 baskets for investing. Yes, no, and too tough to understand. He and Berkshire Hathaway's main man, Warren Buffett, both say keep things simple. And that KISS principle, keep things simple, stupid, I've taught that in business. I've taught that in seminars. The more simple you can make a thing, the better you can challenge your teams with it and teach it to your teams and the people that you have managing and running it when you're not in the room. So here's another Charlie Munger quote. We both, he's talking about him and Warren Buffett, insist on a lot of time being available almost every day to just sit and think. That is very uncommon in American business. We read and we think. That's an excellent quote, because I'll tell you, when you read about the people who were the forefathers of this country, the biggest industrial folks, when you get out of, the booze shipping and all that, when that was illegal, and you get from some of the land grabbing and some of those things, some of the education there is that these people sit and think. They spend periods of time listening and not responding, just thinking on that. And that's still very useful to people today. Charlie Munger also says, the more hard lessons you can learn vicariously rather than through your own hard experience, the better. I've said that many times on this channel. The idea of wisdom is you learn from somebody else's mistakes, and you don't penalize yourself where you have to go through the same thing as well. Here's a quote. Charlie Munger says, a simple idea. He said, take a simple idea and take it seriously. Another thing on simplicity, Charlie Munger says, simplicity has a way of improving performance by enabling us to better understand what we are doing. I just said that a few moments ago. I say that in front of people, and I say that to leaders when I'm teaching leaders. You have to keep things simple. You don't want to overweigh or overtake a person's thinking when it's on something as important on how they're executing their jobs. Charlie Munger said the key to happiness is low expectations. He said step by step you get ahead, but rarely in fast spurts. Whenever you think something or some person is running your life, let me say that again. Whenever you think something or someone is ruining your life, you are correct. It's you. A victimization mentality is completely debilitating. Let's read that again. Whenever you think something or someone is ruining your life, you are correct. It's you. A victimization mentality is completely devastating. I'm going to use this 10 rules for success of his as the thumbnail for the video. 10 rules for success from Charlie Munger says, always keep learning, deserve what you want, know the edge of your competency, be a survivor, practice the right approach, understand what you are doing, invest in trust, know all the big ideas, swim as competently as you can, don't submerge yourself in self-pity. He says, I did not succeed in life by intelligence. I succeeded because I have a long attention span. I read that one earlier, but it's worth repeating. Charlie Munger also said, most people are too fretful. They worry too much. Here's the most important line. Success means being very patient, but aggressive when it's time. I've said this before. Most goals are not wrong. They're not bad goals. What's bad is the timeline. So what you have to do is give yourself achievable goals to reach and reach those. And as you're doing that, you're growing, you're learning, and you adjust your timeline. Your timeline may be the most incomplete thing that you have going on. Here's a Charlie Munger quote. It says, it's so simple. You spend less than you earn. You invest shrewdly. You avoid toxic people and toxic activities. Try to keep learning all your life and do a lot of deferred gratification. If you do all those things, you are almost certain to succeed. And if you don't, you're going to need a lot of luck. And you don't want to need a lot of luck. You want to go into a game where you are very likely to win without having any unusual luck. Like I said, guys, I'll add all these quotes to a post on the Facebook page. If you're not on the Facebook page, it's the Wisdom Hunters, and it's on Facebook, so just look that up and we'll get you added. Go to bed smarter than you were when you woke up. And here's another saying, we have a passion for keeping things simple. So you've heard me read several of those a couple times because they're that important. So that's a great, very intelligent person that has come and gone. If you like subject matter such as these, please subscribe to the channel. Please share. Please like the video here. I'm Ben. Be good.